Hello again, welcome to another unboxing. Today I'll be unboxing some King & Country figurines. I believe it's Marines, Vietnam era Marines, and also some SS troops, I believe. So let's get started here. So I've cut this box open and I can see we got packing peanuts. Fantastic. So let's dump these out here a little bit, make some space. All right, so first up, let's take this box right here. This is VN012. So this must be one of the Marines that I purchased. Now, I got these on eBay, and the place was a toy store called Minutemen Toy Soldiers in Taunton, Massachusetts, which is somewhat close, not too close. So let's open this. I love the King & Country packaging. It really is superior. This sturdy cardboard box, really hard and sturdy, and then you got the foam. And what's nice about the foam is sculpted to the figurine itself, which is just fantastic. All right, here we go. Here we see him, a Marine in the prone position, firing his M16. Let's see if I can pull this out. It's always a little bit tricky. You don't want to bend any part of the model. Oh, looks like the M16 is a little bit bent. That's unfortunate. Okay. All right, fixed it. All right, so here we go. We have a Marine in a flak jacket, Vietnam era. What does this say here? King & Country. Okay. Perfect. So this particular model does not have a base, which I always found interesting. I wonder what the determination is for a model with a base. Even some models that have, they're in a prone position like this, and which ones do not. So here we have, I believe, what is meant to be mud on the boots, and some nice dry brushing here on the flak jacket and the equipment. The helmet is beautifully painted. It really gives you that impression that there's cloth wrapped around here. Now, King & Country had several incarnations, I believe, of the Vietnam era models, and I believe some of the later models are really fantastic. I highly encourage you to check out their catalog. It's King & Country figurines, and I'll have the website up here. I'm sure you can go visit it. I'm not affiliated with them by any means. I just really love what they do. I love all the figurines, and I'm an avid collector. Now, Marines of the Vietnam era, my God, where do I start? First of all, doesn't matter what conflict you're in. It doesn't matter if it's World War I, II, before that. You do not want to fight Marines, okay? That's just, you just don't want to do that, all right? Marines are some of the toughest, most tenacious, most determined soldiers in the history of mankind. And that is saying quite a lot, because there have been a lot of really amazing, highly trained, highly motivated units throughout history. And Marines really are up there. Absolutely tenacious, ferocious in battle. Absolutely. And particularly Marines in Vietnam endured horrendous environments, weather, enemy activity of every kind. I mean, everything from disease to poison to all kinds of weapons and ambushes, everything that was thrown at them, they took everything and they gave it right back tenfold. Absolutely amazing fighters. And very well known for their actions and aggressiveness in the Vietnam War. And there's, I believe, there's two figurines that came with this package. This is the Marine in the prone position with his flak jacket there and wielding an M16. So I'm going to set him aside. Move this box here. And then there's one more, and continue talking about the Marines. There really is so much you can say. I know a lot of people in my own personal life that I have worked with that are Marines, and there's one thing that they all have in common, and that is not something that you see with every military unit for sure, but they for sure enjoy a brotherhood that is unique. And anybody that's a Marine, my hat's off to you. You have my respect, my everlasting respect. And I mean, really, in every conflict that America has fought in, the Marines have answered a call. And they have the motto, you know, first in, last out, and that is not a joke. They really take that to heart, and that was the attitude they take with them in every single conflict, going all the way back to the Revolutionary War, all the way to modern day Afghanistan and Iraq, and every other conflict that Marines have been called upon. They're just tough, incredibly well trained, incredibly determined, courageous warriors. That's really the best way that we can describe them. This soldier right here, this Marine, is carrying the M72 LAW light. It's a light vehicle sort of anti-tank weapon, light anti-tank or light anti-vehicle or something like that. Light anti-tank weapon, maybe. Sorry, I just can't quite remember this one, but it's basically what it is it's kind of like a bazooka, but it's supposed to be used for light vehicles. And what it was actually especially good for in Vietnam when you're fighting in the jungle was clearing enemy positions. So you would shoot this into a spider hole, an improvised bunker made of lumber, any kind of an entrenched, difficult to reach enemy position. You would fire one of these bad boys in there. And I believe they're single use as well. So you just use it and you get rid of it and you're done and you move on with your day. But I could be wrong about that. Maybe I'm thinking about something else. But I do believe these are disposable. And they're highly effective for clearing enemy positions. So, Vietnam was a horrendous environment to operate in for anybody involved. The Army, the Marines, anybody else, anybody that had to go into that jungle and face the enemy, a very well indoctrinated, determined, stubborn opponent like the Viet Cong. That was not a picnic for sure. And, America was winning the war. If you're just talking raw numbers, the Tet Offensive swayed the public opinion in '68, and then the war kind of became a slog, and America lost the interest in continuing the fight. Public opinion mattered quite a bit. It cost Johnson his second term in office. But enough about that. Let's move right along to, I believe these guys are my Germans. Okay, here we go. So this box, WS110, this is the model. This model is retired, or this set rather, because this set comes with two figurines. And this is the old style box packaging, I believe, with this kind of pattern. And some of the newer, I've noticed some of the newer models have, actually this might be some of the older ones as well. But some of the newer models, they actually have a picture of the figurine right on the box. And I don't see that here. This particular one, I don't see it. And I don't see it on this one either. It's just this regular tartan pattern flannel. All right, let's see. But the packaging is always secure. It's very well maintained. Okay, yes, okay. So these guys are my SS guys. So the SS, boy, a very controversial fighting unit. Let's pull these guys out. So here we have our first model with the black jack boots with a potato masher grenade tucked in the boot right there, and the Mauser 98K bolt action rifle, the venerable Mauser, which was used even to this day in some conflicts. They use this weapon. There's lots of these made, lots of surplus weapons, and they have many different varieties of these. They have like a Yugoslavian version, a Czech version, a Polish version, lots of different. It's an 8mm bolt action rifle. It's highly accurate, highly reliable, and this was the staple of the German army. Germany preferred to use bolt action rifles, which was an interesting choice, considering that they faced, as a more of an economic choice more than anything, but they, of course, they faced opponents with superior firepower. You know, even just looking at the American M1 Garand that had 8 shots. It was a semi-automatic rifle, which was an excellent battle rifle. Now, I believe the Germans elected to use the Mauser because of supply issues. So obviously it took a lot longer to fire or empty. You could put 5 bullets, 5 rounds in this rifle, and after every shot you had to cock the rifle to reload the next round. And so it took a little bit longer to fire, but you were more meaningful with your ammunition, and you didn't waste it. And because Germany faced shortages of every kind, steel was definitely one of those shortages that they faced. And so they were economic everywhere where they could, and the equipment is no different. Looking at the equipment, here's the. I see a lot of German soldiers of the time. I really should look this up, but I think this is. I'm not sure what this is. Some kind of a dry box. Here's the entrenching tool, shovel, and the webbing. What's interesting is camouflage. So the SS were the first, one of the first German units that heavily employed camouflage en masse in large units. And SS troops were considered elite by pretty much every standard of the time, and even today. However, as time went on, because of their extremely high casualty rates, the quality of their troops was sort of mixed towards the end of the war. They had a mix of all kinds of volunteers, Latvia, Ukrainians, even Indians, I read. So the SS was composed of different types of nationalities and different types of conscripts towards the end of the war. They do have their own schools. At the time, they had their own schools, and the emphasis was placed on indoctrination during their training. And as we all know, SS troops were highly indoctrinated fanatics, really, a lot of them. And they were not under the command of the German army. They reported directly to Himmler, Heinrich Himmler, who was one of Hitler's henchmen, one of his most prominent henchmen, and he used them quite effectively and committed a lot of atrocities. They have the craziest war crime record of any unit, of any military in World War II. One of the ones that I remember reading about when I was in high school was the Malmedy Massacre, where they massacred 80 American soldiers. And I read that, after they finished shooting everyone up, they went in and just at random shot soldiers that were on the ground already. And one of the men that survived was actually shot in the leg, and they went around kicking their groins and all kinds of stuff to make sure that they're dead. And he somehow didn't move through all of that. And after the Germans left, he picked himself up, bandaged himself up, and went to the nearest American command post and reported the story. Of course, when the story got out, they became even more hated, if that is possible. So SS stands for Schutzstaffel. I used to think for a long time it stood for Sturmstaffel, which is like storm group or storm wing or something like that. But it's actually Schutzstaffel, and Schutz in German means marksman. So yeah, so they were an elite fighting unit, and they were very well trained, very well indoctrinated, committed heinous war crimes, and a lot of at the Nuremberg trials, they were considered a criminal organization, and a lot of the soldiers the survivors were stripped of any of the privilege of other soldiers from other parts of the German army, just because of the heinous record of war crimes that they committed. So, not a good group of people, that's for sure. But they were quite effective. They fought alongside tanks. They had excellent reconnaissance units. Notably, the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Panzer divisions were SS Panzer divisions, and they were sent where the fighting was the thickest. And because of that, they suffered insanely high casualties, and because of that, the quality of the troops that comprised these units was rather mixed towards the end of the war, and so they lost some of their reputation as fighting troops towards the end of the war, as to be expected, which might be a good thing. I don't know. I'm not here to judge, but I do know these guys were not good people. So to summarize again, here we have our SS troops, the duo. This is the WS110 King and Country set, and this set is retired. And we have our Marines on this side here, Marines with the M16 and the M72 LAW, light anti-tank weapon, I want to say. Yep, here they are. Beautiful models. I really love the King and Country models. They're just fantastic, and they're expensive. Thank you for watching.